And Israel, as a matter of fact, is already part of Make in India. Israel and the US enjoy family-like relations. ISIS is an organization, and ISIS is also an idea.
One of the things that we just finished Israeli president's visit, which happened a week, 10 days ago, and he came here for almost a week-long visit. There were a lot of, areas that he talked about in his speech and his interaction at different forums that I attended. One of the things that has come, that he flagged was he would like to participate, Israel would like to participate in Make in India, Make with India. If you could, there is some concern in some quarters that does that sort of take away from the Make in India campaign, that foreign governments are reluctant to participate in Make in India and rather have a more partnership approach.
You mentioned the presidential visit, and indeed we had a very important visit, important from all angles, but specifically important because it is on the backdrop and the background of the very interesting, intriguing, historically exciting relations between India and Israel during those 25 or maybe more than 25 years. We have seen in the last few years, and this is also very much connected to the past of these relationships, we have seen more visibility to those relations. So despite the fact that much was done until about 2.5 years ago, much is much more visible than before. Make in India or Make with India, I don't see this as something that limits. I see this as something that complements. Our president did not say Make in India and or Make with India. He said Make in India, Make with India, and I think it did strengthen the message that we have been sending on the declarative angle to India, on the public media angle to the public in general, but also to the particular players. Israel is very flexible on this. Israel is following the different paths and the different reforms and the different programs that the government of India is leading. Israel is very sensible to them, and Israel would like to be part of them. And Israel, as a matter of fact, is already part of Make in India, maybe one of the first countries that have endorsed this. The addition of Make with India, I see it as something that is strengthening our will and our offer and our engagement in joining the various programs of the Indian government, including the Make in India program or vision.
So how does Israel see the election of Donald Trump as US president? And what impact do you think his presidency will have on the Iran nuclear deal?
Again, a very good question. I'm not sure that I would like to comment on this, because there's always this question that people ask themselves all over the world, I guess. Would such an important election like the election of a president of the United States, how will it affect your own region or your own country? And of course there is a question that one would ask, how influential will those elections be on us? This is a question we ask. I'm sure the Indians are asking themselves about. And the answer, I would say, it sounds like an easy answer, but it's such a real, genuine, honest-to-God answer. The President of the United States should be a good president for the United States, not for necessarily for... He's been elected by the people of the United States, and he should be good for the people of the United States. And I would leave it at that, because all the rest would be speculations, and maybe in some way unjust speculations. How would this affect the agreement? I really don't want to. I think the last thing I would like to do is to speculate. We have a few weeks until the administration change. We'll let them do their job. The American democracy is a wonderful democracy. It has its checks and balances, and we will wait. We will wait for that. One thing I can tell you, and this is something that is irrespective of those elections or other elections in the United States, the bond between the people of India and Israel also, but the bond between the US and Israel on all fields, on all levels, from the leadership to the last farmer or student or kid, the bond is a very, very strong one. Israel and the US enjoy family-like relations, and they're much stronger than anything else. And we rely on that, and I'm sure that this will continue irrespective of anything.
US recently issued a travel advisory for citizens, saying that they should be careful while traveling, and there could be a lone wolf or Islamic State attack. And there is a US team which is in Kolkata questioning one of the suspects. There is a FBI team which is in Kolkata which is questioning one of the suspects. And considering the fact that there has been no lone wolf attack in India so far, what is your assessment about threats from Islamic State or a lone wolf attack?
Assessment would be a little too far. But I do think that we have to be more conscious of this new battlefield. I say new, but it's not so new, of terrorism. When I say new, I mean, by new, I mean that more and more countries and societies are subject to terrorism as a means to achieve all sorts of goals. And we've seen it all over the world for a few decades now. Unfortunately, India and Israel have been suffering more than others from terrorism. And when I say battlefield, it's also in the way to confront, and I've mentioned something before about that, the various stages of confronting terrorism. So I don't want to assess specifically the chances of a lone wolf attempt, but I will say one thing, that ISIS as a phenomenon compared to ISIS as a real organization, and there are two sides to the same. ISIS is an organization, and ISIS is also an idea. And in some instances, and some of the unfortunate tragic events that happened in Europe, I'm not sure that you can attribute it directly to ISIS as an organization, but you definitely can contribute it to the idea which really brings to the lone wolf, as you call it. And it's much more difficult to preempt such an attack, because if it's a lone wolf, he did not get directives, and then intelligence preemptive intelligence, which had a very important part in the previous way to confront terrorism, because you can maybe detect plans beforehand. This is a big danger. Now there is a need, and I think the world is more open to it than before, to unite, to bring forces together, and to confront this old new battlefield.